Hey everybody, Zach here from Mythos Pedals, and today we're going to tackle the McCready Strat Relic Part 2. So previously, if you haven't seen it, we tackled the plastics and the metal parts, got them to rust, distressed the plastic, but now it's time to tackle this finish. So I have busted out all of the tools. We got railroad ties, old keys, different pokey things, sharp things, and we are going to see what we can do with this finish and try to make it look a little bit more realistic. So let's dive into that. Okay, so what we're going to do in this video is tackle the finish, like I said. So I pulled the pick guard off, and underneath the pick guard is going to be one of the places where I test some of my bits and bobs I'm going to use to knock around on this guitar. I've already done a little bit of that. And on these road-worn import finishes, they're pretty thin, or at least on the newer ones, so it's actually pretty easy to do this yourself. Now, don't let this be a guide or a tutorial. It's just me exploring the possibilities of beating up a guitar that's already beat up. And I know what you're saying. Why would you buy a beat-up guitar? I don't like that. I don't get that. And that's fine. You're entitled to not like it. But I do, and this is fun for me. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride. But first things first, we're going to start smacking and beating the finish down here underneath the guard where it'll all remain hidden, and just see what we can do. So my ideas currently for this guitar are, we're going to soften the things that are already there. There's a lot of wear that's here. So I want to try to dial some of that back that doesn't look that realistic and honest. We're going to add dings and dents to kind of enhance what's already here and add a little bit more depth to it. Even though there's a lot of scratches and chips and things, not all of this, first off, is done with a pattern, so it's very samey. But also, there's not a lot of dents and stuff into the finish and actually into the wood, so we're going to add that. We're going to add more chips and scratches, and one thing I really want to do, especially on the back, is a lot of these little chips are the same shape. And I want to take those and differentiate them. So I've got a bunch of tools to do that. We are also going to try our best to remove some of the finish because there's still a sealer coat here, and get down to the bare wood where the bare wood is exposed and would have had a lot of wear, where you'd really be able to feel that grain. So that's basically it. We're going to try to do some staining and stuff a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, all this exposed wood is still sealed, so stain can't really get down to it, but we'll see what happens. And just want to talk about some of the tools I have. So, railroad tie. Mr. Tom Murphy has made it very publicly known that this is one of the many tools that they use over at the Gibson Custom Shop. Keys, another classic thing, another Tom Murphy thing, and something that a lot of great relicers have used over the years. A good rock. This is a Dennis Fano thing, using a rock.
Rock always wins.
Matthew knows all about the rocks. With so much of the finish being removed down here, I feel like I need to take a cable end and just smack and beat that. And this is a good thing.
Do it. Do it right now.
All right. Yeah. So those things would happen. And honestly, like thinking about what would smack a guitar, a cable is often one of those things. We've all been there where we've dropped a cable on our guitar. I have some of these wood carving tools that are like little small chisels. These are going to be great for picking at the finish. Since the road-worn finish is really thin, you can actually use a pick to scrape and add dings and dents. This is really thin here, the sealer coat. So I'm just going to use a really heavy Ernie Ball, what is this, 2 mil pick.
Dang.
And just scrape and ding and dent. And this is another thing that's just going to leave little dents and dings in the finish. So that's another tool. We're going to start with testing some of these things underneath where the pick guard would go. Then we're going to start with the back where if we mess it up really bad, we can hide a lot of those crimes because you won't really be able to see it. So we'll start there and then we'll move on to the front and see what kind of realism we can add to this guitar. Like I said, we are going to test all of this underneath the pick guard. Now, I've done this a little bit, but I think this is going to give us a good feel for what's going to happen with some of these tools. So, first thing I want to do is soften. Now, there's not any dings or dents in here, but one thing I thought about trying is doing a little Scotch-Brite to see what happens on some of these edges. just to see how quickly I can remove the finish. I do have some stuff that we could polish the finish and bring it back to a shine. But let's just see what happens with this. So just adding a little Scotch-Brite. So that really, it's definitely scuffing things up. So I don't, to me, vintage guitars are always kind of shiny because they've been polished, they've been played, they've been loved. They're not just scratched up, messy looking guitars. There is always a shine to them. Not a big fan of that, but this could be useful in some respect, and I have different grades of Scotch-Brite, so we don't have to go so abrasive. The next thing is, I think, the funnest part of doing any relic or any distressing is adding dings and dents. Now, the classic is just a key ring full of old keys. I actually don't have many keys. I've tried to get rid of all the keys that I don't use because my dad, he has just boxes and boxes of keys, and it always stressed me out. He never knew where any of them went. Are your parents like that?
Oh yeah.
No.
No? Okay. Well, Jeff and I share that. So I actually got these just at a antique mall. It was like a couple bucks, and so I have this. So we're gonna try this one where we'll drop. Let's see. Matthew, can you get in tight and see what's gonna happen on some of this? Mm-hmm. Let's aim for right here.
You got it.
And dings,
wow.
dents, and we'll do the smack. Poke. And I mean, that adds a lot of dings and
smack
dents.
And the poke?
Smack and the poke. So, I mean, that's a pretty good little effect. I think that'll go a long way in adding some more texture and depth to the guitar where it's already got dings and dents. Now, the big fun one is the railroad spike. This thing has a lot of different shapes. It's pretty gnarled up, and there's a lot of useful angles on it for hitting things. Or hitting guitars, rather. Maybe we'll aim for right here and see what happens.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I mean, it did something. Oh. It's denting and a poking.
And I think some of this is going to be like trying to find something that you don't want it to be too samey, so you kind of have to move things and do things in different ways. Now we also have a rock. Now I just found this in the parking lot.
Classic rock.
Totally different shape.
And this makes the guitar sound better, correct?
I think so. But I mean, honestly, like there's so many different corners and stuff on this that it really does add a lot of variety. Now this is like overdoing it. No one's ever gonna see this. Maybe get one up here.
Whoa! Whoa!
And that was pretty deep. But that's okay. That's okay. So there's dings and dents. Now, chips and scratches. This guitar, like I said in the beginning, has a lot of chips and dings, but they're all sort of repeated patterns and they all look the same. So one of the things I saw online is getting little wood carving tools. I got these on Amazon. They were really cheap and they're just really sharp little chisels. But on dings, on chips that are already existing, you can take something like this and just add little chips and just take away the finish in very small ways on edges, doing things like that. Honestly, this could poke and add little things, but this is just going to be a good, easy way to pick at the finish. Let's try it over here in the dark part of the sunburst so you can really see it. And some of this we're going to polish and soften up the edges and whatnot because it does leave a little scratch. And I also have these tools, and this can add really small little picks. Matthew's hungry. I can hear it.
When am I not?
But this is a good way to get into the finish. This can also leave a big scratch, so maybe right here. If I ever sell this guitar, whoever takes his pick guard off and sees this, I apologize. This is not how it came. But
they're going to think some things.
They're going to think, what happened, Fender? But all in all, I think a combination of all these techniques done with a more focused mind, not just haphazardly, is going to go a long way in making this thing look more realistic. I have a lot of wood carving tools, a lot of other things that we can try just to add some depth to this. So I think the first thing I want to do, though, is flip this guitar over. I want to get some paint stripper and get in here with a small brush and remove some of the paint on the back, so we can attempt to raise the grain of the wood and add a little texture, because according to the reference images and all the vintage guitars I've seen, very rarely is the exposed wood, if it's been dug down this much, is just glassy smooth. So I'm going to try that first. Paint remover. This is what my friend Matt over at Mass Street Music recommended I use. Now, he said be very careful. It works very well, so don't put it anywhere you don't want the paint removed, basically. And so how I'm going to do this is just pour a little bit of this in a cup and apply it with a brush. Oy. I haven't used paint thinner in a long time, or paint remover, stripper, rather. And I don't know how much I'm going to need, but I'm just going to get some on my little brush. Wear gloves. We're in a ventilated area, and just going to apply some here. I think this takes around 15 minutes or so, but I like doing this with a little brush like this so we can apply it where we need it, how we need it, and we'll wipe this off here in a second and hopefully be able to access the body wood of this guitar. What kind of wood is this, Matthew? Do you know?
No.
Jeff?
Should be alder, right?
It's alder.
Okay. Fender guitars, I don't know as much about, like all the small intricacies. I know the bodywood is not a small intricacy, but it's something I never really learned that much about. I know what wood they use, but I don't know like what era.
Yeah, like when it's alder, when it's swamp ash.
Yeah, ash alder.
If
Ash
it was
alder.
a solid color or like a burst or anything, it was alder.
It's alder, okay.
And the ones you could see the grain would be ash.
All right, so that's working. I might actually put this on the stand and put it outside because
Okay.
it kind of reeks. And we'll come back in 15 minutes or so and see what happened.
Woo.
It's been about 20 minutes or so, and this is still fumey, but we're gonna wipe it off and see kind of what happens here. So one thing we've tried this before, and it left a little bit of a discoloration on the wood, but after a little while it went away. This stuff smells just awful.
Starving.
Does this make you hungry?
Yes.
So wipe all this off, and inevitably I'm doing something wrong here,
Nah.
but that's okay. Like I said, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. So, whew.
Does that work?
It's wiped off, but man, that is a strong smelling thing. So we're gonna open that garage door again and set it out there and let this dry, and then we'll move on to smacking the back. Ooh. Okay, so one of the things I want to do with the dings and the dents and all the stuff that's already here is kind of soften that. So one of the ways you can do that is with something smooth and hard.
Yeah, not walking into that one.
This guitar has some dings and dents up here on the contour that are kind of hard to see because of we wet this to try to raise the grain. But if you take something like a screwdriver and just roll it on those edges, you're going to kind of basically smush out some of that and hopefully mask some of those sort of things. And one of the things on this guitar that I think is most offensive is over on the end here. I don't know what happened to Mike's guitar. I don't know where it got drug or what scratched it up, but all along the edge is a pretty significant amount of wear. Now, from the factory, from Fender, this is pretty significant. It's pretty sharp. It's all chipped up. But you can take a screwdriver and just roll it along there to soften out some of those little bumps. You're still going to see a lot of that is still there underneath it, but it's not going to be overly sharp. It's going to soften some of that. There's not a whole lot on this guitar that needs that, but that's just something I wanted to try, and I think it works pretty well. Dings and dents. This is going to be one of the fun things on the back of this guitar. So I'm going to take the keys, I'm going to take the spike, and just start smacking this thing where it would get the most wear and tear. So I'm thinking over here would be obviously a spot that would see a lot of wear. So let's just go for it. It's going to be a lot of dings and dents that would happen on this part of the guitar. It's kind of hard to see this because there's no finish on this part of the guitar right now, but all right, take the spike. Ooh, okay.
Get in there, dog.
I should probably be supporting the neck here. Ooh. All right, so I can kind of feel some of that. That's really hard to see, but I'm just gonna move and sort of do a lot of the back of the guitar with the same sort of process. So now that I have really messed this up, I will probably go back around with the screwdriver and try to soften up some of these dings and dents if they're a bit too offensive. But I think this looks a bit more like it's lived a hard life. I mean, enough to let that much paint be knocked off of it. It's going to have really seen a lot of action. So we try to smooth some of this out, and we'll move on to improving the chips. We'll pull out some reference material too, so we can really sort of dial in what it is we want to do. So we've dinged, we've dented, we've smacked, and now it's time to chip. So I'm gonna bust out my wood carving tools, and I'm just gonna kind of dive in to picking some of this finish off. Now, Mike's actual guitar in the custom shop replica, there is so much more destruction that has happened onto the back of that guitar. And this one, it's kind of there, but I'm just gonna try to accent some of this, maybe bring it so it kind of feels like there's 2 rows of dings, and it's not random enough, it's not inconsistent enough. So I'm gonna try to do some of that. So here we go. Just gonna start picking. Lucky for us, this finish is really easy to kind of remove. I don't like how obvious all of the tool marks are, so that everything is kind of consistent. You see these lines like there. There's obviously some sort of tool that they've used to repeat these shapes, and it's a bit too, it's not random enough. So one thing we can do is take a tool like this carving tool and just add a lot more destruction, and it looks like it's just picking off this top layer of paint, and you can kind of see the yellow underneath. And we'll pull up a picture of one of the custom shop guitars, and I have a few photos of Mike's guitar as well. One thing, if you're doing this, you kind of want to make sure that you're not doing it all in the same direction, because chips don't occur all in the same direction. You want to make sure that you're doing things random, inconsistent shapes. On this guitar, since so many of these marks and dings and dents are the same shape, you can actually go in, like on this one right here, and just pick at it and remove it so it's a little less samey. But I'm gonna keep on just picking away, and then you can use all the little chips and whatnot that you've created with your keys and your railroad ties as a bit of a guide to have somewhere to pick. I'm not being too precious or worried, because like I said, Mike's guitar is
Toe up.
just destroyed. It's annihilated. One thing is, now this is starting to look too samey, so I'm going to grab a different one. This one is a deeper V. And do finer scratches. And I'm probably not going to go this heavy-handed on the front, so that it is not as it's not as distressed on the front. But this is it's just a patience and a waiting game. I really like that other tool, but one of the things about doing this stuff, and something I've learned watching so many really good prop builders and replicators, is you have to kind of mix it up, because if you don't, then you're starting to see the same patterns forming, starting to fall into all the same traps that they got into at the factory to make it look the same. Matthew, what do you think the best
Oh man.
replica, like relics guitar you've seen so far is?
But it's a replica?
Yeah, have you seen like an
the-
aged guitar and just
yeah,
go,
the-
wow?
I mean, there's so much good stuff. I mean, the interesting part about working with DF over at Novo is he's not replicating anything.
Right.
You know, there's no, old Novos. The company's only 8 years old. So that's kind of like there's not really a reference point. He would model some stuff after certain things, but not much.
Yeah,
Right? It was
yeah.
just kind of feeling it. So I'd have to say the Greenie that they have at the Gibson Garage, the $20,000 custom shop one, I mean, that feels incredible. Absolutely
does.
incredible. And I know it's a pricey guitar, but I mean, they're putting their heart and soul into that thing, and
Piece of art.
it's just it really does feel like you're holding a famous guitar. It really
It does, yeah.
You know, so That's the one I would pick. Would you pick another one than that? Do you have an idea?
I mean, as far as like a replica of a famous guitar, I think that's pretty much as good as it's ever been or going to get. Okay. So now I feel like, I mean, there's still, on Mike's guitar, like I said, it's just completely wrecked. So I don't want to overdo this, but I'm curious as to how we should try to differentiate these things. Any suggestions?
You can almost play tic-tac-toe on that thing.
You could.
I don't know, man. Just feel it. Feel it in your heart. The thing about distressing and relicking is that you don't know you're done until you're done.
That's very true.
So you just kind of have to go until you're like, I think I'm done.
And make this look like it's fell and scratched or something. One thing too, you want to, like, if you see something and you want to kind of tell a story or show that this was done with something that, you know, it fell this way or it got hit this way or that way, you kind of want to make sure that everything has some sort of reason. One of the things I hate more than anything is when a guitar has wear in places where you would never touch. Something that you'll see often is, like, wear here makes sense, right? Because if you're playing up here on the, you know, the dusty end, like, you'll have some wear there, but like wear right inside here, you might not have as much. Sometimes in here, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense when this is worn completely away, because whose, you know, thumb is going to go over that way? So you kind of have to have some purpose with what you're doing, because you just can get lost in the idea of the relic and not really what it should be conveying as a played, loved instrument. The last thing I want to do with this is finish it or get to a point and then step back and look at it and go, what did I do? That would be very disappointing.
Sometimes you got to go there to come back.
There is no coming back.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, everywhere you go, there you are. That is no truer words have ever been spoken. Let's see. I like what I did here. Where it looks like it fell and like got bit on something. Maybe this is supposed to be like a case bite or something. Tell the fine folks at home what a case bite is if they don't know.
It's where you slam the case on your guitar.
That's it.
Did I ever tell you the story that I did that once at Ernie Ball Music Man?
You have.
I'll tell the people.
Okay, tell them.
Well, I accidentally did that one time. I did packaging and final inspection at Ernie Ball Music Man like years ago. I was like a 19-year-old kid, and once I gave it a real bad case bite, and I just packed it up because I was so embarrassed.
When was this?
It was like 2000.
Okay, so...
And we shipped it to the dealer, and then they're like, oh, it got damaged in shipping. I'm like, yes, it did.
Oh!
Only time that ever happened, I was so scared to, like, show it to anybody, which is probably what I should have done. But, you know, I was very, very young and early in my career, and I was worried that I would, you know... I mean, accidents happened, but it took a pretty good chunk out. It was an Axis, so it was, like, right on the top. Like,
oh, man.
Right on the corner where the binding meets the top.
I case fit my faux paw over there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think you guys were the first ones I ever told that.
Oh, man.
You've been carrying that around for that long?
Yeah, it was 25 years ago.
Oh.
It's like some of these things happen. I feel like there'd be more just wear and tear. Maybe I haven't done a whole lot of dinging up here, so let's, like, over on the end. This is also going to be where your guitar cable is going to smack a little bit, so we'll add a little. Whoop.
See, that's the good stuff right there.
That's a great sound.
You need it to be random.
I mean, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
It has to be honest. And if you are accidentally relicking your guitar and then smack it, then that's not really, you're not doing that with you know, that's not really a relic, is it?
I did do it one time at Novo.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was blowing an air. I took the air hose to just blow a guitar off, and the air nozzle like shot off and dented the guitar.
Oh no!
Yeah. We just shipped as is too. It's great.
Well, if it's a relic guitar,
there it is.
Was it bad though?
No, it's just a pretty good chunk out of the front of it.
What was it? Will someone? You know, or you?
It was a Ceres S Bull Black that went to Katara Paja, I believe, which is in Fender.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing. I'm trying to remember. That was Pennsylvania though. That
Way
was
back
Nashville.
Way back when.
Just shot right off. That was awesome.
Ooh, the rock really dinks. Apple's champ. Okay. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself with some of this, but I think that's looking a little bit better. I don't know. It's a bit goofy, but it doesn't look super.
Formulamatic?
Yeah.
Formulamatic?
Formulamatic? So maybe we'll flip it, start doing some stuff on the top. Back to the front. Okay, so we have smacked up the back and added a lot of dings, dents, and whatnot. This is okay. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to leave it. But the front, I don't think it needs too much. I'm not going to do a whole lot in the way of chipping it. I might have attacked some of these little chips so they're not all the same looking. But I think for the most part, on the front of the guitar, we're just going to add some dings, dents, and some more scratches that would be indicative of the life that this guitar appears to have led. So, I guess we'll start with keys. I'm not going to put the pickguard on as like a mask or anything because it's not that big a deal. But with the keys, I'm just going to smack it and hit it in places where there's a lot of damage and it would make sense that there would be dings and dents there. So, okay, here we go. It's hard to know kind of what to do. I don't want to go too crazy on the front, but I feel like it does need a few dings to kind of break up the wear on here. All right. Okay. Onto the guitar cable end here. So if someone was trying to missing this much to do all this, you know.
What?
We're just gonna add a bunch of this. Okay, it's a little bit of that, and then spike.
Get in there, bro.
Don't want to go too crazy with this one. I hear DJX.
Nice.
Some might ask, do you feel bad doing this? Smacking a guitar?
Do you feel bad?
I don't.
You feel good?
I don't feel like I don't feel about this. It's just like this is just a guitar. I think a guitar is a tool. I definitely have a lot of emotional attachment to guitars, but I'm not one of those people that babies them or anything. These two spots are my least favorite spots on the whole guitar.
Show us.
These things, where like it would just wore through the paint. Which I get that idea, but there's chips and I don't know. I don't like it, but I think if I just add a few little dings and dents on there, might draw your eye away from those things. And I'm not really going to bother with relicing up the neck. I might put a few dings and dents on the headstock. There's a few up here and they look really consistent and samey. But I'm not going to do anything to the back of the neck and just keep that pretty clean. Because, I mean, the body is the star of the show in a relic guitar, I think. At least for the viewer. And I like the feel of this neck, and I think the age on it's good. Okay, so I feel like that is pretty good. I think that's done something. I'm going to add a few more little dings and dents. And then we'll move on to trying to chip this thing a little bit. And I do need to get the top edge here. I like the keys because they don't really, they're not too destructive. And they immediately make dents, at least in a guitar with nitrocellulose. Okay. Did you hear that?
That was good.
It's beautiful. Turn the page. Now I'm going to start to differentiate some of these chips and stuff on the front, just like we did on the back. There's really not a whole lot on here that I feel like is necessary to do. I'm just going to try to break up some of this stuff on the side here to try to just make this look a bit more realistic. These little chisels are really easy to dig too much into the wood. I think if I add just a few more little chips and dings and stuff, that this will start to break up nicely and not look as consistent. Every now and again on something like this you'll do something and you're like, I don't like that, but you know, can't take it back. So in Mike's guitar, on the face of it, it has a lot of like specific wear and tear. Like this little circle is there, of course this wear pattern.
Wow.
On his guitar, this has a lot of like chips and stuff around here, so maybe we'll just kind of pull into the yellow bit, add a little bit more breakup on here. Can you get that, Matthew?
Yeah.
Try and make this look a bit more played in. Got to remember to do these in different directions. It's really hard to. You want to do it all one way, you know. Oh, okay. Okay, I think that is looking a little better. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Man.
Jeff?
What'd you do?
I've just started picking at it more.
Looks great.
I get in here and
Yeah, I like seeing that those picks in the wood right there.
Yeah,
down
that
here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit more.
Oh, in the yellow, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In all those spots, yeah. Where it's already, the paint's already off a little bit.
It makes sense that there would be.
Yeah, that's how that paint get off. You know?
Looking at the actual custom shop guitar, I don't want to try to replicate it too much because I can't. I'm not that good at this. But I think I'm pretty happy with this. So one of the things I wanted to do is, because this big wear spots here, I wasn't crazy with the stripping and how that turned out on the back. I don't know if that was worth it. It would be if you want to add some stain and really get into the wood. But this is pretty soft, and I think if I just take a pick and kind of simulate years of this wear, you can already, I can see it really clearly. Can you see that, Matthew?
I can see it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the lighting's kind of tough.
But if we just add...
Oh yeah, you can see it. It's starting to have a visible wear pattern.
And this is not, you know, I'm not inventing this process. I've seen other people do something similar to this, but it definitely breaks it up more. And then I'm just going to go in there with like the back of the pick and try to soften some of that, so it's not as obvious that I just took a pick and smacked it. But I think it looks pretty good. There's a few spots on this guitar that might have happened before I got it that don't look super realistic, but I think that adds a little bit of depth. I'm actually not super crazy about what I've just done, but hey, that's just the way it goes. It'll all kind of disappear when everything's back on it, and
I like it.
And when I play it. You like it?
I think it looks good.
Okay, well, hey, you're the man who should know, right?
Thank you.
But I might just take a few more minutes to ding this up, and I think there's not a whole lot more we can do. We might add a little stain or see what happens with some Montyspresso, because that is made.
I want to rub some dirt on it.
Let's rub some dirt on it, and yeah, take it from there. We busted out the Montys, and we're going to try to darken up some of the spots and the dings and the dents and the chips that we've made. I chipped a little bit on the headstock, trying to see if I could get a little closer, but just wanted to knock up the edges a little bit more, and that exposed some of the maple, so we'll get the Montys on there. And then try it on the front and the back of the guitar, see what happens. But here we go again. Montyspresso, thanks Montys. I'm just going to put a little bit on there. You wanted dirt, Matthew.
I said I wanted dirt.
You wanted...
I like dirt.
No copyright strikes.
I only sang a little bit of it.
Okay. So we'll just let that set there. And then on this thing, I don't want this to be super dark because on the real guitar it's not. So I'm actually just going to kind of put some on all these spots. This might be a right pain to clean off, but well, hey, we'll just see what happens, right?
Pain don't hurt.
Pain don't hurt. And this real guitar would have been gross. I don't mind this getting a little dirty, right? If there's finish on there, it won't do much. So
you gotta put a little Montys on the big spot, right? Just a touch.
It's a kiss.
Give a little
kiss of Montys.
Have Uncle Monty give you a kiss.
Jeez. I'm just gonna go.
I mean, the stuff looks gross. It looks gross.
It does look gross.
I can't. We're not gonna deny.
Doesn't smell.
It looks gross.
No taste.
You tasted it?
Oh yeah.
Finally, somebody did.
Kind of looks like brownie batter.
Yeah, you could call it that. You want to call it brownie batter? You go right ahead. Might as well. Maybe put a little bit on.
I like dirt.
Okay.
I do not know why this is so funny.
I don't either. No, I do.
We're just having a nice time. We're just having a nice time.
I'm not going to let this sit for very long.
Just dudes being guys.
I'm just going to... I'm worried now, after doing this, that we're really going to struggle to get this off the guitar. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think that's pretty good, right? Alright, so here we are. We have taken the Montyspresso off, and it has had a major effect on the finish of the guitar. So a lot of the spots where we really dug in, we put the Montyspresso on, and it has just added this depth of color and dirt and grime, which is what you want. It's darkened up a lot of the dings and dents, and it's really made a big difference. I think it's most effective on the back, where we took the finish off. The Montyspresso pretty much immediately made it look dirty and grimy, and I think it looks a lot more realistic now that, you know, there's some wear and tear on there in addition to the grime, and it just added a depth to the entire finish of the guitar and the wood on the guitar. So really happy with this. We are almost done with this project. The next video is going to talk about the electronics. We're going to add some pickups sent to us by the fine folks at Throwback Electronics. We're going to get this thing wired up as vintage accurately as possible, put it all together, give you some playing examples, and go from there. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things that supports the channel and Mythos on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Go to mythospedals.com, check out all the pedals we make, and see you on the next one.